I've got the top 10 fantasy basketball players that you should trade for coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I'm going to count down the top 10 buy low players to trade for in fantasy basketball. If you are a fan of this type of content, be sure to like the video and join the 10% of people that watch my videos who have subscribed to this channel. I'm going to be focusing on players that are owned in less than 90% of leagues, as they can be easier for managers to make trades with. This episode is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy Sports. Use the promo code BeatTheOdds to double your first deposit up to $250. And first-time users get a free square. Like last Friday, if you had bet on Luka Doncic scoring 1 point in his matchup against the Utah Jazz, then you would have won. Now let's dive right into our list. At number 10, we got Bogdan Bogdanovic, 77% owned over the season with 27 minutes played, 16.1 points, 3.4 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 3.1 threes, 1.4 steals, 0.3 blocks, 1.3 turnovers, 45% shooting from the field, and 93% from the line. One could also argue for Bogdan's brother here as well, but I don't think that Bojan is going to be staying in Detroit this season, which leaves too much uncertainty for playing time wherever he ends up. Bogdan, on the other hand, is excelling as a marksman and has been averaging a career high in steals out of the gate. If your team is strong in field goal percentage and could use a little scoring punch and a lift in free throw percentage, then Bogdan makes a whole lot of sense. Let's go to number 9. We have Deni Avdija, 65% owned, 27 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, 12.2 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 0.9 steals, 0.4 blocks, 1.4 turnovers per game, on 53% shooting from the field and 82% from the line. The Wizards are going to be heavily featured on this list, as outside of Kuzma and Poole, there really isn't another universally owned player on the team. That creates a great opportunity to find extra value in a player like Avdija. He's showcasing an improved Josh Giddey mold, posting similar numbers with far less turnovers and on much better percentages. Avdija is a great player to target for a team that has a lot of scoring but may be lacking in other categories. Let's go to number 8. We have Chris Middleton, 84% owned, 22 minutes per game this season, 12.4 points, 4.3 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1.4 threes, 0.8 steals, 0.1 blocks, 1.8 turnovers per game on 47% shooting from the field and 79% from the line. Middleton's minutes are continuing to trend upward, as he has been averaging over 26 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks. He is going to settle in as the undisputed number 3 option for the Bucks in short order, and it wouldn't shock me if he gets closer to the 30-minute plateau in the coming weeks. This may be the right time to make an offer for him, especially if you've got solid centers and could use an efficient all-around player. Let's go to number 7. We have Tyus Jones, 76% owned, 27 minutes per game for the season, 11.4 points, 2.8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.1 threes, 1 steal, 0.2 blocks, 0.7 turnovers, on 51% shooting from the field and 77% from the line. Tyus came over in the offseason to take the reins at the point for the Wizards. We haven't really seen much of an impact from him until just recently, where he's posted an efficient 13.2 points per game on 54% from the field and 75% from the line, and a 5 assist to 0.4 turnover ratio. That is returning 6th round value, and I feel like Coach Unseld Jr. is going to need to rely on Jones more to get out of the NBA's basement. Target Jones if you're hurting in turnovers, but you can use some assists. Let's go to number 6. We have Daniel Gafford, 80% owned. Over the season, he has 25 minutes per game, 9.9 points, 7.2 rebounds, 1.7 assists, no threes, 0.6 steals, 2.1 blocks, 1.1 turnovers per game on 69% shooting from the field and 65% from the line. The last Wizard that's on this list, Gafford has been a defensive stalwart in limited minutes on the court. He ranks in the top 5 in blocks per minute for at least 25 minutes played, and he happens to carry the smallest ownership percentage amongst that group. If he starts to get 28 minutes per game on a regular basis, you can count on a low-end double-double with 2.5 blocks per game. If you're struggling to get blocks on your team, then Gafford makes a great player to try and trade for. To number 5 we go. We have Keldon Johnson, 87% owned. Over the season, he has 32 minutes per game, 17 points, 6.5 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 2.1 threes, 0.8 steals, 0.4 blocks, 1.4 turnovers per game, on 48% shooting from the field and 74% from the line. Johnson has never been a lights-out shooter in his 5 years in the league, but he stepped up with Devin Vassell struggling with his shooting and injuries to be the number 2 option behind Victor Wembanyama. That is a great spot to be in, as he'll be able to comfortably put up 12 to 15 shots per game. Johnson becomes a good target if you're looking for a solid volume scorer and can handle a bit of a hit to your percentages. Let's go to number 4. We have Mark Williams, 88% owned, 27 minutes per game this season, 12.7 points, 9.7 rebounds, 1.2 assists, no threes, 0.8 steals, 1.1 blocks, 0.9 turnovers, on 65% shooting from the field and 72% from the line. If Williams owners in your league are worried about his playing time or issues concerning his back, now might be the great time to explore a trade. He has been a double-double machine and has been a solid source of defensive stats on very good percentages. Williams also doesn't need many minutes to be productive, and he simply is dealing with a contusion in his back, nothing more. If your team is lights out from 3 and you could use a solid second center, Williams would be your guy. Let's go to number 3. We have Derek White, 89% owned, 32 minutes per game this season on 15.4 points, 3.8 rebounds, 5.2 assists, 2.4 threes, 1.1 steals, 0.9 blocks, 1.8 turnovers per game on 48% shooting from the field and 88% from the line. It would be harder to pry White away from fantasy managers this year as opposed to years past, but it's still worth a shot. White is the best number 5 option in the league for his team and is a testament to how scary the Celtics lineup really is. What makes me want to pry him away is he's one of the best shot blocking guards in the league. So if you're looking for a great all-around 9-cat contributor, you won't find much better than Derek White. Let's go to number 2. We have Herbert Jones, 78% owned for the season. He's got 31 minutes per game, 12.3 points, 4.4 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.2 threes, 1.8 steals, 1.3 blocks, 1.6 turnovers, on 51% shooting from the field and 89% from the line. Jones is an extremely valuable piece on any championship team and is worth paying a premium for. He's going to be one of the select few that will end up the year with 3 stocks per game and possibly the only one that's not a center. Don't let Jones' lack of scoring dissuade you from pursuing him. He could score 0 points in a game and still have a fantasy useful line. The fact that he's going to get you 12 to 15 points on excellent percentages is simply just icing on the cake. If you need defensive stats, he is your best option. And finally, at number 1, we have Miles Bridges, 89% owned. For the season, he's got 37 minutes per game, 20.2 points, 7.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 2.1 threes, 1.5 steals, 0.3 blocks, 1.5 turnovers per game on 50% shooting from the field and 85% from the line. So Miles or Mikal, who's got the better stats on a per game basis in 9-cat leagues? Right now, it's Miles, who's ahead of Mikal in rebounds and stocks with far fewer turnovers, while keeping relatively close in almost every other category. Those who gambled on him in drafts are being handsomely rewarded, which will likely make it a little harder to trade for him. I would make the attempt to get him, though, if you need an efficient scorer and high-end 3-and-D player. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I'm going to sign off for now, but I'm going to catch you guys on our next episode.